Hi, I'm John Twist of University Motors, and today I want to show you a little bit about how to adjust HIF carburetors on like a 72 through 74 MGB. Now remember that adjusting the carburetors is the last in a series of four things. You go for emissions first, then the engine, then the ignition, finally the carburation. Now here's what I'm going to do. The first thing we're going to do is balance the airflow, and we can either use our tube here, or I'm going to use the unison here so that you can see you can see the bulb float up and down in it. And once we get the airflow the same and having it run about 800 RPM, then I'm going to lift the piston. I'm going to do so by putting this down the throat and turning the screwdriver so it just barely lifts the piston, and judge the change in RPM. If it rises too much, it's too rich, I'll have to lean it out. If it stumbles and falls, it's too lean, I'll have to enrichen it. The enrichening screws are down here on the side, and as we turn these clockwise, it makes it rich. So I'm going to start the car up here, and I'm going to have to raise my voice because I'm sure that the sound of the engine is going to attempt to overwhelm my voice. When we get all done, then we have to make sure that when we operate the choke down here, that our airflow is going to be the same when we're operating the choke. And finally, we've got to make sure that when we begin to open the throttle, that both carburetors open at the same time. So here we go. Between every adjustment, you rev it up and you blow it out. Oh, right up here to the top, we got to adjust the unison out. You can see that these are not quite at the same height, and I'm running a little too fast. Between every adjustment, you rev it up and blow it out. This is really close. Now we're going to check the mixture by lifting the piston. Oh boy, he stumbles and falls. This one stumbles and falls. I got this carburetor all the way adjusted rich right now. I've enriched the rear one here a little bit. You have to make sure that the car is hot when you start to adjust it. He still stumbles and falls. Now I'm well above my 800 RPM, so I'm going to back both the screws off a quarter of a turn. Check the mixture again. It's not failing quite so quickly now. On the other hand, it's getting warmer. I can double check my airflow. That's still the same. We can use the piston lifting pins on the side of the carburetors to lift the pistons too. But I'm still running a little lean here. As I said, this one's adjusted all the way rich. That's the best that I can do there. Hardly a change there, but this one, when I lift the piston ever so slightly, I get a little blip in RPM. What I'm hunting for here is that the RPM comes along as you lift the piston. I'm looking for a little rise in RPM, and then it falls off. If the RPM climbs and climbs, it's too rich. If it stumbles, it's too lean. That's when you lift the piston. So let's look at the pistons here again. Hardly any change, but this is all the way rich. That one rises about 50 RPM. We can double check and make sure that we're drawing the same amount of air. It's about the same. Now I'm going to try it on choke and see what happens here. That one's drawing a lot more. Make sure that you replace the little nuts on here with springs so you can adjust it after all. Those are almost the same. And finally, we want to make sure, Danny's going to come down here tight with the camera, that when we begin to open up our link here, that both carburetors open at the same time, and they do. So that's as complicated as it is. I know I've gone through this a lot faster. You say, oh my gosh, I can't adjust my carburetors that fast. But remember that you get the emissions, the engine, the ignition, and finally the carburation. You get the airflow the same. Then you lift the pistons and make sure that the mixture is correct by getting that slight increase just at the point where you begin to lift the piston. Then when you're done with that, you make sure that it's drawing the same amount of air on fast idle. And finally, make sure that when the engine's turned off, that the throttle cable opens both the carburetors at the same time. Between every adjustment that you make, rev it up and blow it out. Okay, that's really important. And make sure the engine's nice and hot up to operating temperature when you go to make these adjustments. I don't want to sound like Starvin' Marvin, but you know, it's coming up to winter time. We could really use your business. So if you've got a wiper motor, a starter motor, an engine, a gearbox, or a whole car, you know, give us a call, send it along. We need your business. Thanks, we'll see you guys tomorrow.